Hey guys, I'm going to do a video for you on the review packet. I'm just going to go through one page at a time and I'll post them all separately. So let's do page one really fast. The first 6 questions are all skills 1A through B. So we're going to use this diagram over here to name certain figures. So number 1 says name 4 rays that use B as an endpoint. Well, B is right here. So we can go 4 different ways and go B towards A. So that's going to be ray BA. Remember, we always start with the endpoint, which is B. We can do B towards E. So that's ray BE. We can do B towards C, which is ray BC, and we can do B towards D, so that would be ray BD. Okay, name line L 4 different ways. Well, line L, let me highlight this. Line L is this line right here. In order to name a line, you have to name use 2 of the points on the line and then use the symbol with a line with 2 arrows on top. So I'm going to pick any 2 letters. I'm going to do E and B. I can call it line EB. I can switch the order of the letters. I can call it line BE. I could use E and D. I could call it line ED. Or I could use B and D and call it line BD. Remember, we can switch the order, so I can actually do 2 more by doing DE and DB. Okay, name 2 pair of opposite rays. Well, we know whenever we can make a straight line that is 2 opposite rays. So if we look at line L, which is already in yellow, B is our shared endpoint. We can do B towards E and B towards D. So that's the first pair of opposite rays. If I grab another color highlighter, if I can highlight a straight line, we know that that's also going to have a pair of opposite rays. So I can do B towards A and B towards C. That's another pair of opposite rays. Okay, name 2 pairs of adjacent angles. Remember, angles that are adjacent are just angles that are next to each other. So let's look up here at the top. I'm going to do this angle here and this angle here. Those 2 angles are adjacent. So if I want to name this angle here, that's angle ABE. So angle ABE is adjacent to angle EBC. So there's 1 pair of adjacent angles. Let's do the bottom this time. We can say angle ABD is adjacent to DBC, this angle over here. Good. Okay, 1 pair of congruent angles. Well, if you look in the picture, you'll notice they've already marked a pair of congruent angles for us, this and this. Since they both have 1 arc, it means they're the same size, and we know that these 2 are congruent because they're vertical angles, so let's name that pair. So angle ABE is congruent to angle DBC. And we know that because they're marked that way and also because they're vertical angles. Okay, 1 pair of congruent segments. Well, let me plot a different color. Since this has 2 tick marks and this has 2 tick marks, each of those segments are the same size. We can say they're congruent. So segment BE is congruent to segment BD. Good. Okay, let's move down to the true or false section. Number 7 says if 2 segments are congruent, they will have the same number of tick marks. True or false? Well, let's take a look. If I have a segment and each of these is marked with the same number of tick marks, yes, that means they're congruent. So this is true. 8. AB with that little line on top represents the length of segment AB. No, that's not true. This represents the length of AB. We don't want to have that line segment on top. So I'm going to say this is false. It was false. We corrected it to be true, but the original one was false. Number 9, 4 points are coplanar if they are all on the same line. Okay, this one is kind of tricky. Technically, the answer is true because if any points are on the same line, so 1, 2, 3, 4, they can also be drawn on the same plane. So technically, that's true. That one's kind of tricky. We can talk about that more in class. Okay, let's look at number 10. Now we're at skills 1C and E, which is draw and label an angle. We're going to draw and label an angle to fit each description. Okay, a 60-degree angle named FOX. Remember, 60 degrees is bigger than 45, but less than 90. So here's my bottom side. This would be about 45. I want to make sure it's a little bit bigger. So let's do that. Here's angle FOX. Now we want a right angle. Remember, right angle, that just means a 90-degree angle named CAT. So let's do a 90-degree angle. I'm going to mark that so I know it's 90. There's C, there's A, there's T. Remember, that middle letter has to be the vertex. Okay, we're almost done with this page. Use the illustration at the right for problems 12 through 14. Name an obtuse angle. Well, we have a lot of choices. It just has to be an angle that's bigger than 90 degrees. So if I cover this, you'll notice that angle RMU is one example as an obtuse angle. There are a handful more, but let's add that. So RMU. You only have to name one, but another one we can make is by covering this up and have S to M to V. So angle SMV. I'm going to make that U a little more U-y so you can see it better. RMU. Okay, name a straight angle. Straight angle is an angle that is 180 degrees. It's literally a straight line. The only straight line that we have is this thing down here. So we're going to call this straight angle RMV, or you can call it VMR. It doesn't matter. Angle RMV. Good. An acute angle, something that's less than 90 degrees. We have a bunch of them in this picture. For instance, angle UMV is an example of an acute angle. It's less than 90. That's 90. But this here is less than 90. So angle UMV. We could do TMU. We could do TMS. We could also do SMR. So there's a bunch of examples for you. So that's the end of the first page. I'm going to start a video on the second page any moment now.